Nobody reads comics anymore. Crowdfunding is only for those with big audiences. Nobody likes or wants to read my comic, are among just a few of the lies you may have heard or told yourself. These aren't all necessarily cynical takes, but they're certainly all uninformed opinions. And the dangerous part is when you actually listen to these and take them up as if they are fact, when in fact they are not. What these lies really are just excuses. The truth isn't that nobody reads comics anymore, it's that nobody is reading your comic. It helps to have a big audience for a big goal, but people have tons of smaller Kickstarters and Indiegogos all the time with much smaller audiences. And nobody can like your comic until they read it to know if they like it or not. And to get them to read it, you have to put it out there, learn how to pitch your comic, promote it, market it, the whole 9 yards. It's a grind, and you gotta hustle. This is not the easy path you have chosen to pursue, but one that is long and narrow. So are you gonna put up or shut up? Because right now, none of these lies, if you believe them, are nothing more than excuses. And just a bit of dissection into them will reveal how shallow they truly are. Just like the examples I gave earlier, once you dig a little, you realize these are completely wrong, but the issue now is that you are left without excuse. Once you realize that, you are now put in a position where you have to decide, am I going to quit, or am I going to give it my all to make this thing I'm doing worth it? That is a question I've come to ask you today. Hello, my name is Perry's Hotter, your friendly neighborhood mangaka in the making you some manga and a new YouTube video. I've been putting out my manga cold-blooded for over a year now, and in that time I have 1. Accrued enough material to print a 200-page graphic novel, and 2. Learn how to successfully launch and fund a Kickstarter. I aimed for the modest goal of $832, and that's exactly what I raised, and I plan to launch another one sometime in 2021 with a bigger goal, although I don't know how big yet. And while I'm very far away from where I want to be in life, I never would have gotten where I am now if I had made excuses and waited and done nothing and listened to all the lies prior to and while making the comic. This could be you too. You could be the person who works at making a comic, puts together a Kickstarter, and then has a printed comic. Wouldn't that be great to have a win like that under your belt? You now have something to show for all your hard work. But it doesn't end there, unfortunately. You got to keep going. But if you can get one win under your belt, imagine how many more you can if you keep going. And that's what it is. How many wins can you get under your belt before you reach where you're going? And even when you do reach it, you won't quit just like that. You'll keep going, accruing more and more wins. And by that point, you would have built your audience, are now self-sufficient, and a popular IP at your disposal. Doesn't that sound great? Well, that's potentially what the future has in store for you, but it starts with you here and now. So what are you going to do? Keep at it? Or keep making excuses and cynical takes to justify standing on the sidelines? This past year, I got a job at my local sheriff's office as a part-time jailer. I know, not my first choice. And after some miserable experiences at Comic-Cons, I was fed up and looked into crowdfunding. And I enrolled in an online course called Comics Launch. You may have heard of them. It's led by Tyler James. He has a free podcast to listen to. You should go check it out. Anyway, one thing I've learned from being at the sheriff's office and also being enrolled in Comics Launch is you don't know what you don't know. I work at a small facility, but the worst thing you can think is, oh, that'll never happen. Because you don't know that for a fact. And because of that, it very well could. So you have to always be thinking of worst case scenarios so you can be in the right mindset when the stuff does hit the fan, and you'll be ready. When it came to Comics Launch, prior to joining, I was under the impression you had to have a big audience to successfully launch and fund a Kickstarter. But while listening to Tyler James, he doesn't do anything without a reason and only goes off what he knows and is proven to work. And because of that, you can't base your decision off what you don't know, but off what you do know. And that's the kicker. That's where all the lies and excuses fall away, because those lies assume the worst, a possibility that could happen or might be true. Emphasis on could and might, but that's just the thing. They're simply possibilities and don't even take into account if they're wrong, which often they are. This gets into the category of fear. You see, you can't let fear control you. People often come up with all kinds of irrational fears. They might think, what if this happens or that? But more often than not, you can test this by observing your own thoughts. That many of the fears we come up with never come true. Just think, how many things are you afraid of happening versus how much they actually do happen? I'll be surprised if most of your fears come true, because often we think of a million things that could go wrong in anticipation for a wedding, a concert, school, college, anything really. But when we get those things and it turns out everything's fine. So don't let fear control you and hide behind excuses and lies. Now, this is where the rubber meets the road. Now that you are armed with this information, what has changed? What have you discovered about yourself? And what, I might add, are you going to do with it? Now, like I said before, this path is long and narrow. It's hard, so it's going to be frustrating, and you're going to want to vent and complain. Just whenever you are or will be in your journey, I want you to keep this video in mind. And lastly, this is for the person that it might not be your passion to pursue comics or whatever it is you're after. And a lot has to do with motivation. Check out my last video for that topic. But if comics is nothing more than a fleeting whim or wish, then maybe it's not for you. But if you want to do it bad enough and make it worth it, then keep at it, because you never know what will come of it. But I do know what will if you don't, and that's nothing. Again, my name is Perry's Hotter, your friendly neighborhood mangaka in the making. Links in the description to read my manga Cold-Blooded. It is currently available on Webtoon, Tapas, Pop Comics, the Duck Web Comics, and Artstream on Medibank. Follow me on any platform. Just search up Perry S_Hotter. That is HOTTER. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe and notification bell so you'll be notified when I actually upload a video. And lastly, you should see links in the video itself to my last video that I just mentioned a few seconds ago. And you have a few other comic book videos you can check out. Thank you for all your support. Goodbye and farewell. And until I see you next, I bid you adieu.